Tomorrow I'll go on.
And I was
Roll back.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this one.
So no application.
All right, that's the bell. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The village of New Paltz humbly acknowledges that we are on the traditional lands of the Muncie, Esopus, and Lenape people. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 forced the people to relocate to inhospitable territory far from the bountiful valley and mountains we inhabit today. The village further acknowledges that much of the physical structure of our village and town was built by enslaved Africans who labored as the property of their owners until 1827 on this very land. We acknowledge and honor the contributions, resilience, and accomplishments of the BIPOC community, Black, Indigenous, and people of color who have overcome historic injustice to inform our past and inspire our future. The Village of New Paltz encourages everyone to learn more about the contributions and sacrifices made by the Indigenous people and enslaved Africans by visiting the sites. If you have resources that you believe should be included here, please contact us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Stevie. So first, I am going to motion to remove an item from the joint agenda regarding Hochul's terrible cuts to Secra, since I think we've already weighed in on that previously. So second on that motion. Oh, yeah. All in favor? Aye.
Will it still say, it should stay in the material for the night, even though we're not gonna talk about it?
We can talk about it either way. Do you want to talk about it?
I just want people to see it. It's a
Cool.
great letter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if
Do you
you
want
give
to
me agenda,
discuss
better
that in agenda or just so it's part of the public?
Just so it's there for the public to view, is fine.
Cool. Thank you. So I motion to just approve the joint agenda as amended. All in favor? Aye. Cool. Anyone opposed? No. Awesome. So, announcements. Did the town want to share any of your announcements? You had a lot of things included in the agenda that people can check out.
Sounds good.
Cool. I had a bunch of announcements to add to that. I just wanted to put an emphasis on the Earth Day announcement. It is this Saturday, April 25th from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. at the Reformed Church on Huguenot Street. All are welcome. It's family friendly. Lots of organizations will be there, and Kitty and I will have a table and you should stop by. We will have information on lots of environmental organizations in the area that you can get to know, and we'll have seed bombs. I also invite folks to stop by this very space at Village Hall, 25 Plattekill Avenue on Thursday, May 7th from 2 o'clock until 4:30 for assistance from New York State Comptroller Constituent Services Liaisons who can help any of us with unclaimed funds and state retirement services. I will be hanging out with the Comptroller's team to help with more local issues. If you don't know about unclaimed funds, I have some information at the info hub, that bookcase by the door, or you can ask me anytime, but it's pretty cool and they usually find money for everyone who stops by. Just some tech updates from the village. If you were at our last village meeting, we had a really disruptive Zoom bombing incident, and it's become clear we don't really need to keep a fully open door hybrid approach to every single village meeting. So like you might notice, there's no Zooms on all of our agendas, but you can still live stream everything. If you contact us in advance, if you have something on the agenda, we can get you in any way, shape, or form, and we'll continue to be super accessible, but we're just not putting Zooms out there in all the ways because it just was too much for staff and all of us at the table. And you may have noticed that the village emails and our drive has been down for just about 2 weeks. We're working on it. It's, you know, definitely a once in 100 years type scenario that really makes you rethink emergency response. So just keep an eye on the village website for any important updates because we can keep posting there. And any emails that you've sent to us in the past 2 weeks, they won't be coming through when the email does get back up again. So try us again, and you probably know how to find me. So if you need anything, find me. The Pride March and Festival is the first Sunday in June. The applications are now open thanks to the New Paltz Pride Coalition for vendors, marchers, floats, volunteers, etc. Find that information at newpaltzpridecoalition.org. The Ulster Court Summit is coming up on next Wednesday, April 29th. I had a whole long announcement to share, but I'm just going to shout that out. And if you need more info, I can forward the message from Ulster Corp to you. Just a reminder on the rental registry, just want to share this reminder on behalf of the Landlord Tenant Relations Council that all rental units have to be registered and inspected annually. If you didn't know, now you know. The Landlord Tenant Relations Council / Village Housing Smart Task Force has an open meeting next Tuesday, April 28th, 7 p.m. here at Village Hall. The squad will be bringing some good snacks. The first part will be more of a summit brainstorming amongst different housing organizers within the village and town if they want to come as well. And the second part will be dedicated to helping drop in questions from landlords, tenants, and everyone in between. I also want to share the free food fridge is open again. Thank you to Scott, Leanne, Kelly, Patty, and all the other volunteers who've been rocking that out. And I will leave it there. Anyone else have announcements quick?
I do. We've got Celebrate Arbor Day with the Shade Tree Commission on Friday, April 24th at 6 p.m. on Route 32 by the Community Center. There's more information on the Shade Tree Commission website.
Awesome. So let's do some public comment. So there was a sign-in sheet over there. Ideally, we'll go through the sign-in sheet in the order if someone wants to grab that. If folks can strive to keep your comment to about 3 minutes. I'm getting tangled up in myself, sorry. To 3 minutes, that would be fantastic. Make sure to remember, thank you so much, to address the board. And yeah, that's about it. So we'll go through the signed ups first, and then anyone else who didn't get a chance to sign up, we'll have time for you too. Paul Brown.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming back after last meeting's horrible Zoom bombing. That was terrible.
We bonded.
Yeah. We've got through it together.
Guarantee you this will be under 3 minutes. This public comment has to do with the joint town village agenda. The documents relating to the village dissolution on the village and town websites revealed that this is not the first time that joint meetings have taken place to discuss this issue. In fact, since 1949, there have been at least 10 such studies, with some of them covering 3 to 5 year periods. I've read them all. It's a wonderful book at the Elping Library, just called Dissolution. Tim's looked at it, I know, and it's the whole history, modern history since 1949. In fact, there have been 10. Only 2 led to referendums. We're hoping that's where this goes. The first in 1966, when the village voters rejected dissolution by a vote of 257 to 106. The second in 1993, when the vote was 411 against dissolution and 283 in favor, 59% to 41. Of course, that was dissolution. This is consolidation, a different beast. And my comment has to do with that and your ability to control the outcome of what will be voted on in November. The 1993 vote marked the end of a really bitter 9-month battle between those who favored, I was here then, dissolving the then 106-year-old village and those who sought to preserve it. As reported in the New Paltz Times, September 29, 1993, village employee Nancy Wilson spoke of the anxiety around job loss that she and her colleagues were experiencing. We had a lot to lose, said Nancy. I heard that. We're glad the people made a decision by more than just 5 votes. So there was a good turnout. She and other village employees did indeed have a lot to lose, since the plan of dissolution did not specify which village employees, if any, would have been hired by the town. Village Mayor Tom Nyquist urged voters at the time to keep the village form of government, stipulating that a merger with the town won't save money. You don't just meld two governments together and click your fingers. It's going to be a lawyer's delight. There's going to be a lot of costs involved, both economic and the point I want to raise is human costs. In 2011 to 2013, the New Paltz Government Efficiency Project, that's on the websites, and impact on employees in both the village and town was considered at length. And it was agreed that in the words of that agreement, that those documents, most current town and village employees would continue in their current positions with little immediate change to their job functions and reporting. The Village of New Paltz dissolution plan published this May 2025 shows that only the jobs of the mayor and the 4 village trustees would be abolished. If you look at the appendix, and I think it's particularly appendix G. But it also pointed out that May 2025 study, and it's there for all to read, there was no guarantee with a dissolution, which that plan was, May 2025, that the town government would preserve all the staff jobs. I raise this issue because I hope the human cost of any consolidation will ensure that our valued village and town employees will not suffer through months of anxiety awaiting the outcome of a November 3rd referendum. As part of the plan you're creating, you can provide the guarantees that employees have respectfully asked for and I believe deserve. I think many of you do as well. I sincerely hope and urge that your deliberations tonight, I realize that's not an issue on the agenda for tonight, it is fire protection, but in the weeks to come, will yield a consolidation plan that provides a guarantee to our municipal employees, all of them, who are currently on the job now, that their jobs are safe and that any opportunities to reduce duplicated service will be achieved by normal attrition through retirement or resignation. I'm sure lawyers can help you work out poor performance and so forth. Thank you for your service to our community.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Sir.
Next, we had Dave R. Hills. I was just gonna say a hard copy would be awesome because I don't have my email. Thank you. Hey.
Good evening. Thank you guys for your service towards our community. My name is Dave Harhill. I'm a resident of New Paltz. Also want to thank the New Paltz Police Department for having one of the second most job in our community. Their job is to protect and serve. This first most important job, I think, is our spiritual leaders. There's few, my concern is to address the racism behavior in the New Paltz Police Department. I have a soft heart for racism, for racist behavior people. And the reason I have a soft heart for racist behavior of certain people is because I served in the United States Marine Corps. Back in 1983, I was deployed to Beirut, Lebanon. There, when I went out on a patrol, came back, and about 4 other Black Marines were in my unit. We came back from the patrol, and all our belongings were moved from one side to our tent to the other side. I went up to the senior Marine, and I'm like, what's going on here? And you have people getting killed, people getting shot at. And one thing I realized that he was so conditioned, instead of me looking out at the enemy, he turned that aggression towards the Black Marines. And I'm saying to myself, how can a person be so conditioned in such a situation? And that's why I said I have a soft heart for people who have this racist behavior. No one is born to be racist. No one is born. It is something that is taught by our media, is something that's part of our culture, is something part of our community. One thing I have experienced in dealing with at this current moment, our police department have 2 Black officers and an administration lead. We have Officer Jerome Milton and Sergeant James Trion. I'm asking for the board to investigate these officers. Milton been on administrative leave for over a year, and James been on administration leave for over 7 months. There also was another female black officer who no longer work for the department. She had filed a complaint against the Newport's, she had wrote a complaint of racism against the Newport's police department. So I'm asking for Chief Matthew Sutton to be on some type of administrative leave. This way these matter could be investigated. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Next is Maureen Crocker. And then after Maureen will be James Scott. I just want to queue up. I don't know. Yeah. Hey, Maureen.
Hello. Hello, everybody. I am Maureen Crocker, and I am a member of the New Paltz community. I stated at the last town board meeting that there are 2 black officers in the New Paltz Police Department right now that are on forced leave. These 2 officers have served our community with honesty, respect, and integrity for many years. Policies and procedures used to fire these officers are in question. While attending one of the officers' public hearing arbitrations, the arbitrator halted the meeting. The officer's attorney, Michael Sussman, informed the arbitrator that before going to arbitration, there were certain lawful procedures that were not followed by the police and town attorney. The arbitration was canceled while these allegations are being investigated. Regarding the second officer, again, procedures were not followed. The town board was overlooked, with the chief going directly to the district attorney. The Ulster County District Attorney accepted the case without the officer receiving his due process here in New Paltz. I am asking for an immediate investigation into this matter. The careers of 2 officers are at stake, and we, the taxpayers, are responsible for the legal fees. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have James Scott.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is James Scott. I'm a retired officer. And I sit before you tonight as both as a family member and a concerned citizen who believe in fairness, accountability, and justice. I'm here to speak on behalf of my nephew, Officer Milton, whose name, career, and future have been placed in jeopardy through a process that many in this community deeply question. What makes this especially troubling is that many believe these charges follow after he tried to speak up for himself, raise concerns, and stand on his rights. Instead of being heard, he was met with consequences. Instead of support, he was left to defend himself. Instead of fairness, he now faces a fight for his livelihood. And that sends a dangerous message to every officer watching. If you speak up, you may be punished. If you challenge unfairness, you may be targeted. If you ask for dignity, you may stand alone. That is how retaliation becomes the culture. My nephew and the other officer currently on administrative leave are not new officers. They are seasoned, senior officers with years of experience serving this community. That matters. Because when veteran officers with proven service are placed in this position, the public has every right to ask whether the real problem is with the officers or the leadership and the system around them. We also understand there are Black officers currently serving and newly hired. That should be welcome. But representation alone is not enough. If officers have no safe place to speak, no trusted place to report concerns, no protection from retaliation, then the problem remains. So I ask the board, who's checking the chief? What safeguards exist? Where can officer safety go when leadership is in the concern? What are we doing right now to restore trust? I'm calling for an independent investigation into these matters and meaningful reform that protects every officer equally. My nephew deserves fairness. Every officer deserves protection. And the town deserves leadership with the courage to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Tom Della.
Evening, hi. My name's Tom Joe. I'm a village resident. I'm a member of UAC, Police Reform Committee, updated the Criminal Justice Reform Committee. I know this is a joint village and town meeting. Still, I'm here to speak about town proposal because it may interest the village trustees and others in the audience and the public who focus on village only matters. The town has proposed to authorize active police officers to purchase the police department's out-of-use handguns. Weapons not purchased will be destroyed. This may be an improvement over the previous proposal under which weapons not bought by the officers would have been sold to the department's gun dealers. But it still puts the town government and by extension taxpayers in the position of selling firearms. The arguments for the proposal are twofold. One comes from the officers themselves, at least some of whom have apparently formed a sentimental attachment to the weapon they were assigned to carry until new ones arrive. I say, even or particularly if the sales would be to our officers, we must be concerned about the added risk to life and limb. Police officers are even more subject to the key risk factors of suicide, substance abuse, and other mental health stresses than the general public. Sentiment cannot serve as the basis of reasoned public policy. Thirdly, an article about the problem with lost and stolen police guns notes that all too often guns are stolen from the police officers' homes and private vehicles, which is where these guns were. The other argument is for fiscal prudence, that the monetary value of these weapons should not be lost to the town budget. In my understanding, the revenue can be no more than 10,000, but could likely be less than around 2,500. Significantly, the town board did not consider offsetting revenue in deciding last June to spend up to $30,000 on new firearms. Why? Because the money did not come from the taxpayer-funded budget, but from seized asset funds, confiscations from criminal activities. These can only be applied to very limited purposes, like gun purchases. This is not lost to the budget. The same taxpayers who would stand to gain a few cents when you take these $2,500 and spread it over the tax base, would stand to gain a few cents, are the same ones who would feel the hit to their consciences, hopefully, from any death or injury related to these weapons, while bearing the cost of possible liability payouts. Indeed, Chief Snyder felt that the town's potential liability for such sales far outweighed his officers' nostalgia. To our knowledge, committee, no weapon sales of any kind have been carried out in New Paltz before this. And so, our elected officials should be unmoved by appeals to sentimental gun attachments and dollar savings. Instead, we should formalize in policy the New Paltz tradition against gun sales. Please stand with gun safety. If I may, I just have an additional thing. I'd like to weigh in on what preceding speakers spoke. I'd like to join the call for an investigation of the police chief's role in biased and retaliatory actions against officers of color, and for him to be placed on administrative leave pending the results of the investigation. It happens to everybody else. It's not an investigation. I want to call your attention to the chief's complaint of racist harassment against Essie Lewis and Edgar Rodriguez. It's been in the newspaper, and how that testifies to his immaturity, his inability to accept criticism, his misunderstanding of the proper relationship between the department head and elected officials, and a gross insensitivity concerns about bias and discrimination. He should have been working to combat even the appearance of racism in a law enforcement organization. Instead, he let his sense of grievance seduce him into a cry of reverse racism, which itself carries a strong odor of bias. These traits and attitudes are incompatible with the position of New Paltz Police Chief. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next, Jen Wells. Hey.
Jennifer Wells, I'm a member of the New Paltz community. I was at the last town board meeting and want to respond to some of the comments that were made there and also this evening regarding the New Paltz Police Department. Our community has come to you with various expertise pleading for justice. These are experts that we have to be listening to. What are we doing about it? If you do not act to suspend the chief of police and put him on administrative leave, as has happened to the 2 police officers he has targeted, both of whom are African-American, how is that fair? Everyone should be treated the same. The rules need to apply to everyone regardless of their position or complexion. Proper chain of command and protocols must be adhered to, and we absolutely must respect, value, and act on expertise that our community has brought forth. We're watching, we're waiting, this is taking too long, please act now. And I also want to comment about what was also mentioned at the last meeting about the EO 203 report that was made a few years ago. There were several community members, all of whom were Black, and with a lot of expertise on the issue, spent a lot of time working on that report, and it seems like has basically been ignored. And we are now seeing the results of that. If those recommendations have been put into place, maybe this wouldn't be happening right now. So I think it's really important that that the board takes action on that and reexamines that, and yeah. So
Thank you. Okay, so that's everyone who signed up, but don't worry. Anyone else I know Willie wanted to come up and make a comment about some art, and then we can just take it one at a time until everyone's commented out.
I'm not gonna see from giving you, I'm gonna stand here.
Well, our clerk needs to be able to pick it up.
I kind of like to talk to the crowd as well as to the, may I?
Sure, but just make sure that this microphone right here can pick you up.
Sorry, you want me to sit here?
It would be best, so our clerks can pick it up, sorry. Microphones and tech, they can be so frustrating.
I'm here to pitch my sculpture to the town board, village board rather. And I don't know if you're familiar with that. This is my love nut, which is in Socrates in Woodstock. And it's a sculpture that came out of the passion of me and love that I have to Ulster County, beside my village, Socrates and Woodstock. I feel like if I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna be with the back for everybody.
It's fine, our clerk just said she can hear you, so keep going, Willie.
Allow me to say a little words about myself, my experience. I was a graphic designer, I went to art school, I worked in the movie industry, I did cabinetry, and when I had a cabinetry shop, I started to build a body of art. When I came here in 2008, meaning here from the city to the Hudson Valley, I created a bunch of sculptures that were already spread all over the valley. In 2011 or so, I got a grant from Mark Bronstein, who owns the place called Marketech in Socrates. And I nabbed him that I want to make a sculpture. So he said, really, what do you want to do? I said, Mark, you live in Woodstock and you have a place in Socrates. I like to bind and connect the 2 villages and make a sculpture that will send each one will send you to the other. So I made a sculpture like that. It's 6 feet tall, which is proportional to our size, and kids just love it. And the elements of my sculpture, as you can see, is heart as in love, infinity as forever, and tear as in pain and joy. So this is my proposal is to have a sculpture like that. It'll say here,
Newport, and then Loveland. So it's basically, my idea is that I wanna have a sculpture in every township in Ulster County. Wow! So therefore, here I am pitching this idea to you. The sculpture is very popular, and surprisingly, I mean, it's unbelievable how many people are taking pictures with it, with delights me. And it became so popular that it's marked on the maps of the areas and so forth. The sculpture right now, it's made out of fiberglass. Initially, I made it out of wood, it stood out of wood. For 11 years, it rotted away to a point that I couldn't last it anymore. It took a year for me to raise up $19,000 and have it casted. Actually have a mold and casted, two sculptures and casted. So I have a mold, meaning I can make at least 30 copies of the same sculpture. So that's why I'm coming here and trying to convince you. It's made out of fiberglass, as I said. Each sculpture, the sculpture itself will have the name of the town, and it'll have a QR code. And the QR code will give you the information of what the town has to offer in terms of adventures, eateries, and winter and summer activities.
Do you mind wrapping it up, like 30 seconds tops?
Okay,
Cool,
right.
thank you.
The price for it, which is a copy of it, which we delivered perfectly done. The only thing that has to do is the town has to install it, but the price for it is $6,500. Up to $7,000 granted because of the gasoline prices. So it'll be delivered from Nebraska, which is the best place that I found, to the town, and it'll be installed here. My quest is that, 30 seconds, that if there is a person or persons that have some money and love the village, will contribute to the production of this sculpture. Thank you very much. I want to hear some claps.
Thank you.
I do. I mean, big ten.
Careful, we have traps everywhere.
Yes.
Thank you. Public comment traps. Okay, anyone else that did not sign up, want to make a public comment tonight? You can come on up. Okay. So you can come on up and, keep it to 3 minutes, and you can have a seat if you would like. No pressure though, just.
Stand up because I'm
Sure.
back there. I have my earrings on, but I think it's still hard to hear, and I want to speak to everyone. That's what I do. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you.
My name is Larry Badendyke. I've been in New Paltz for almost 40 years. I'm retired, and I'm an activist. And I'm speaking to my moral accountants, and they said that I'm really behind. I have a lot more enemies this month than I usually make, so they said go to a meeting here. So yeah, this is what I will do. Anyway, to be clear on one thing, I'm appalled by what's happening to the two gentlemen who are being accused. And I think it's horrible. And my position is simply that they should be cleared as quickly as possible, that this should end. We don't have to go on dragging this on, because what's clear is that obviously there's racism behind this. And you can simply look at the statements behind it. We don't need an investigation. I don't need one. I am not part of any group here that's for it. No, we eliminate that immediately, and I think we should get rid of the police chief. He's not, he certainly doesn't represent me. He doesn't represent what I think a police department should be. And I have to say, I'm not anti-police. I have friends who are doing that. I don't want to take away their jobs. I don't want to take away their money. I started my teaching career at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and they were all cops, Vietnam veterans, and they were great. I have a brother who's retired as a corrections officer, and his son is retiring now. And I have, I'm working class, and working class, one way to get out of that is to become a cop, become a correction officer when jobs are short. So that, I'm all fine with that. And But this was terrible. The accusation that somehow Essie and Edgar were racist because they were asking questions. My assumption is, what the hell are they doing there if they're not asking questions? That's what they're supposed to do. That's what they're on that position. So that itself, but what's this claim about accusing him of being racist somehow? I mean, because they're white people, and we know white people suffer all the time. You know what those black people did? They revolutionized world music. That's bad enough. But they did it without going to a movie school. They just created jazz, you know? And so you can see why people are upset with them. It's pretty nervy just to go there and do stuff. I taught American literature and American history, and I don't understand black people. I don't understand how they came out of slavery. And what did they do? They built schools. They're amazing people. And I have this collection from the Schoenberg collection of African-American women. You know, it's this big on my shelf there. And they're just beautiful. They did novels, they wrote books, they started schools. You know, I would want to be a little more assertive or violent than that. They wanted to get along.
Do you mind wrapping it up?
But anyway, I'll finish this very, very quickly, what I think should happen. Oh, first of all, by the way, a few years ago, around the table and having a discussion, and it came up, my son said, you know, let's say things that your parents said, and I'm sitting there, and Mathor said, yeah, I remember when Dad said, sometimes you just have to shoot the bastards. And I'm not violent, but yes, this is it. We can't go on with this. This charge is fake. It should end, and we do not need, and I don't want this guy, because I like cops. I'm one of the worlds I come from. And why the hell is he there? And let's assume that this is clear. They've got a good lawyer. Fine, but what's that doing to those two gentlemen? I actually spoke to one of them. He's amazing. He's the type of person I would like as a student. I want him there in the police department. I want him there in the town, and I want both of them there. They could do that. And the job of the person in charge is to mentor them, is to help them. If they did something, fine, you talk to them, you work it out. But this charge is absolutely ridiculous. Now, maybe there wasn't racism behind it, but if you didn't know when you tried to get rid of Essie and Edgar, and you took these on, you didn't know how that was going to be perceived. Something is wrong with your whole perceptual apparatus, and you should not be up there helping to run the college. You should know that that's going to look like racism, and all the signs are, it is racism, because what is it Trump is saying? We're white people, oh, we're suffering. Isn't it horrible to be a white person? Bullshit. So that simply has to stop. Now, I'm not sure what.
Larry, do you mind wrapping it up?
I'll wait, finish. Okay. My hope is that African Americans get together and kick ass. And if I were among them, I would want to consider a lawsuit against the town and against the people doing it for what they have done. And if they decide to do that, I can contribute $2,000 if that's what it is. So get out there and get off your shiny panties and raise.
Larry, any other public comments? You can come on up, just make sure you say your name for our clerks and keep it to 3 minutes, please. It's Alex 3 minutes, so it's 3-ish.
My name is Craig Primus. I've been a resident of New Paltz for 33 years. And I can't speak in depth to what I heard about the charges, but I've been hearing speaking to people around town, but I could speak to somewhat about agencies, and especially police agencies. I worked with 4 precincts as a director of public safety for City University, and I dealt with 4 precincts where we had housing, other buildings. And I lived in New York City my whole life, and I've seen situations where when things aren't handled and the officers are not respected, it makes their job tougher when they go out on the street. So I've seen New York City where they went through a pattern where the community didn't trust them anymore. And the violence against officers on the street went on a rise. And it was a major shootout when the police department reformed their communications with the community, working with community youth, and that brought down the tenor. And what I'm seeing, or what I'm hearing here is, this is a long expansion of time. As other communities around New Paltz, the word get out, you can't trust those officers. They don't deal with you with integrity, and they're potentially violent. You might have an explosive situation. So as a community, this situation should be wrapped up and dealt with publicly. And it's not hard. I mean, police departments, you don't create a scenario to address the situation. You got New York State law. With me, we had New York City law, policy procedures. You had union policy and procedures. You follow the rules, and it's a simple process. But if you're looking to protect people or protect your friends, then it gets ugly. And it's only a matter of time before this becomes a newsworthy story outside of New Paltz. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? All right, so we'll wrap that up. Next up was the village consent agenda, so I motion to approve the village consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome,
May I move the town consent agenda?
go for it.
I move the town consent agenda while we're at it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Awesome, so let's just jump into the joint business agenda. And the first item is village and town consolidation. We have KT and Scott from the Benjamin Center here. Yeah, please. So just so the public knows, like, we printed extra copies of these one-pagers that are available on the village and town websites and the consultant LaBerge's websites also, that we'll be discussing, that are also linked in the digital version of the agenda. So you can find copies of those one-pagers over next to the pig statue if you need one. There's a handful of them, so I kept them all separate. And if there's more need for printed versions of those, let me know, and I'll meet you any place in the village with whatever you need. Yeah, so, okay, lots of shuffling going on, but yeah. Lauren, should we just get to it?
Sure.
Yeah.
We can get to it.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure everyone was cool. Awesome.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having us today. So what I want to do is just update the boards, excuse me, on where the steering committee is. As a reminder, the supervisor, the mayor, and Councilmember McPadden are all on that steering committee. And that group is meeting very regularly and working very hard to get you a document that you can really be public with. Things are gonna roll out hopefully in the next 2 weeks for you. You're gonna find those documents when it's time, or already these documents that are available through we're using primarily the LaBerge, who's your consultant, your sort of consultant on the actual agreement for their website, but we've created an easy link for you guys to share. You can just go to newpaltzconsolidation.com or newpaltzconsolidation.info. That'll take you right to all your documents. So if you're talking to residents or anybody that is sort of confused or interested, you can easily send them. That's an easy thing to remember. It'll take you right to where you need to go. One of our key things here is going to be these sort of one-page documents that summarize different aspects of this process for the community in digestible language. We already have 4 available, and several in the works that will come out along with the agreement or the draft agreement, emphasis on the draft. One on important dates and timeline, one with a detailed schedule, one that just explains what consolidation is and the CETC portion of this, and one on fire protection is already available because we know that's been a persistent question in the community. We have a whole array of them on, or we have several particularly on sort of financial impact that I know board members and the community are anxious to hear about. The group wants to make sure all sort of I's are dotted and T's are crossed before sharing them, because it's a real challenge if they are public and the numbers aren't in alignment with whatever the agreement finally says. So I'm going to turn it over to KT, who has worked really hard on sort of elucidating a schedule that we think will allow for a lot of input.
Okay, so we were trying to get it up on the screen, but I don't think that's gonna happen. No, I'm good. I'm just looking for my.
One titled detailed schedule or?
Detailed schedule works, either one.
Right, so the one that basically starts on April 1st and goes all the way to November 3rd. Oh, maybe Ari's gonna be able to bring it up, but I'll start Ari, the one that says detailed schedule.
I just jumped on it, yeah, real quick. I figured why
You
not?
took over.
I can chair me and co-clerk.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, look how beautiful that is.
There you go.
Okay, go down so we can see the table.
Oh, yeah.
So the issue I'm having is that when I try to share my screen, all of my screens just appear as a big question mark. And so I don't know which one to select, and I don't want to just share randomly.
Okay.
My computer has a lot of screens open, so if you can pull it up, otherwise I will close out all of my windows and figure it out.
All right, Alex got it done, so.
Yeah, Richard's
I think
gonna
we're good.
co-drive right now.
Yeah.
You guys rock. Thank you.
You
You
rock.
rock too. We
Yeah.
all rock.
Seen these before.
Okay,
You're
so you have seen this before. This has been out for a while, but we thought it might be helpful if we walk through the logic to what is happening here. A lot of it is looking to election day and then going backwards to see what has to happen when. So in order to get this on the ballot in November, the decision needs to be made by the joint boards by August 5th. I think there's a little bit of room on that first week, but that was the date that we landed on. I'm gonna jump back to now. So here we are in May, and just so you know, and my steering team committee members can back me up on this. We know you're all chomping. We're chomping too. Like we're really annoying, and we're like constantly asking for more and to get stuff out quicker, because everybody wants to see more stuff. But as been said many times, lawyers, LaBerge, us, a lot of crossing of
Department of
T's.
State.
Department of State, Board of Elections, multiple entities, many telephone calls and Zooms to make sure we're doing the right thing here. So we're really trying to make it so it's as close to possible for when you all get it, that you're really asking, substantive questions, and we've really made sure that everything adds up in the way that it does. So in terms of the schedule, I think most of you have been involved, like with passing a law, so you know that when you propose a law, you have to have public hearings. Those public hearings are mandated. You have to have a certain amount of days where you notice the public that you're gonna have the public hearings, just like planning board, every project has public hearings. So for this particular project, we built in the public hearing so that number one, as soon as, well, again, you're gonna get the draft consolidation agreement soon. You're gonna have a joint.
I hate to interrupt, but could you go chronologically, starting from?
Okay, yeah, it's.
That's what she's doing. She's about to start.
I'm back to chronological. Okay, so here we are. It's April 22nd. I'll start there. Earth Day, yay, go Earth. You have consolidation standing agenda items, which we put on every single village board meeting, every single town board meeting, and every joint meeting for the duration, right? So any opportunity you have to talk about this, you have. We're at a joint meeting now, you're gonna get the draft consolidation agreement, and then you're gonna have your next joint meeting on May 20th, a consolidation standing agenda item, and then we built in on May 24th, first to have a workshop, right? Because you all know, you have 27 things on an agenda. When you have a big project, it's nice to add a workshop meeting where that's your only agenda item and you can really dive in on it, right? So we felt that to just talk about it at a joint meeting with a whole full joint meeting agenda wouldn't be enough. So we added a workshop meeting on May 21st. Then if all goes according to plan, on June 1st, you all will vote whether or not to send the draft agreement to public hearing, right? Just like say you considered a law, you're like, okay, we're ready to send it to the public to hear what the public has to say. So you have your first, now I keep putting my head up and looking back down and losing.
You're on June.
I'm on June 1. You're gonna vote whether or not to do that. There's a village board meeting after that. There's a town board meeting after that. And then there's a joint meeting on June 17th. And we put on any of your joint meetings after a vote that affirms the draft agreement. Just like if you had a law, you just tag it on to your regular agendas, right? We also felt that there needed to be one standalone, again, concept being you need, some time, not just for you all, but for the public, to have a dedicated, public hearing. And we put that on July 7th, right? So anytime moving forward from voting for the draft agreement, you're gonna have it as a standing agenda item. You're gonna add a public hearing to your agenda, not the individual village and town boards, but the joints. Then we're up to July 7th. It's at the middle school, the big one that's just a consolidation public hearing. July 15th, another public hearing at the beginning of that meeting. And the plan is that you would vote on a final version. And we built in that if you made any substantive changes at this point, you could notice and, close the original public hearing and open another one. Because you all know if you make substantive changes, you have to start from zero again, right? So we wanted to make sure that if there were substantive changes and you needed to renotice and you needed to do another public hearing, that there was time to do that before before August 5th, right? So that's why we have that joint, looking down again, final consolidation public hearing on July 29th. And then on August 5th, you all will vote, if all goes according to plan, whether or not to send it to a public vote. We'll do other informational stuff after that. But for now, this is the logic, a lot about public hearings and noticing and moving things along in a timely fashion with the deadline working backwards from November 3rd. I did
And then
that.
November 3rd.
Right.
Right, and so as a reminder, because I think everybody knows this, but since this is a public meeting, it's worth stating right now. That assuming this goes to a ballot initiative on November 3rd, which is election day. We need, New Paltz will need separate majorities from the village and the town in order to move forward, in order to consolidate.
Town outside village.
Town outside village and village, to be clear, yes, thank you.
Can you repeat that, Scott? Please?
Yeah, so in order to move forward with this agreement and actually consolidate, one of the things that separates consolidation from dissolution, in dissolution, the village votes to disappear and it disappears. In consolidation, the village votes to consolidate and the town outside village votes separately to consolidate. Both need separate majorities in order to move forward. Did that clarify what I was saying? Yeah, okay, good.
And the voting blocks of the village and the town outside the village, right? So you're only voting once because village people are town residents.
Wait, what?
You can only vote once, that's why it's town
Well, no,
outside
I-
village.
Yes, the
and
town
village.
votes on their, is the resolution.
Town outside
going to
village,
be
not
the
town.
same?
Sorry.
Is the TOV resolution going to be the same?
Yeah.
as it-
Yeah.
So the TOV will be voting on shall the village dissolve?
No,
No.
we vote on what
No.
shall the village consolidate.
Shall the, and that's what the village resolution says.
Yes, shall the village consolidate with the
Okay.
town? Yes,
Okay.
exactly, right, you've got the donut and the donut hole.
Mhm.
The donut needs to vote and the donut hole needs to vote.
And
That's
you
how
need
I explained it to my
majority-
daughter.
you need a majority in the donut and the donut hole.
Yeah.
That works.
Right, so if the village says no, it's done.
Yeah,
If
that's
the town
correct.
says no, it fails.
Town outside the village.
Yeah.
Town outside the
Thank
village.
you.
Yeah.
That's right,
So you need both
that's right,
to have a simple majority.
that's correct. And recall that the reason, and this is actually already outlined in one of the one pagers, that you sort of decided to go this route is this creates both more planning on both sides and, potential, and also protection for both sides, employee protection, financial planning protections, and so, both sides are committed rather than just one having to absorb.
And I think it speaks to Paul Brown's public comment tonight. In all of our steering committee meetings, we've discussed the importance of, coming up with a consolidation agreement that addresses where all staff, whether they're employed by the town or the village, continue to have jobs.
That's correct. The agreement that you're getting will have, I expect, sort of org charts and things like that will, or at least you will see org charts and stuff that help you see where people end up afterwards, so that you can feel some confidence in what is happening to the village people in the room, right? What is happening to your public employees.
Can I ask another question? What is the guidelines or what is the requirement of the vote of the two respective boards with regard to moving the agreements forward? Are those unique, are those distinct, or are they collective?
There's distinct. You both have to vote to put it on your ballot. I had that right, Tim, don't I?
Yeah.
Um,
One thing on the voting date, like, we made it easy, just like with election day proper, but I know, a lot of us in New Paltz tend to be good early voters, so like, and this came up with a couple of friends, like, yes, your ballot is your ballot, so
yes.
early voting, like, will start October 24th and go through November 1st, and it'll be the same thing on the back of your ballot. We're just using the general election date of November 3rd, like, to stand in for all the different ways that you can vote.
But
That's a good
that's
point.
good feedback
Yeah,
from the
really.
mayor about
Yeah, no,
how we message on this, and I've already made the note. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out, so
we need a footnote here. at
yeah,
least.
maybe even more than that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of friends were like, wait, but can I still vote on this if I
Absolutely.
vote
Yeah,
by
yeah,
mail
no,
or early? I'm
Sure.
like, yeah, duh.
Yes.
So,
As
yeah.
a guy who did a lot of research on vote by mail, should have already
Yeah.
included that, but it also feels far away to me right now, so.
Yeah.
But excellent point from the mayor. Are there any other questions on the schedule that anybody wants to bring up?
Well, I know we've all been sending questions to the committee, to Laura and Alex, and I'm not sure how they all end up with you or with LaBerge. So, what, are we still using the LaBerge study as the basis for what we'll be talking about at these meetings?
No, yes and no. So the dissolution study will be a thing of the past soon, is a good way of thinking about it.
But it's still the framework.
It is still the framework, but you're gonna get a new consolidation agreement, right? You should think about the study as a study that was conducted, like a report,
A resource.
a resource, but
Okay.
that research informed the creation of the draft agreement. That draft agreement will be what these boards consider directly. And it will be in some ways very detailed and others not, in line with Department of State directives as they sort of align with state law, essentially. Because this is actually, you could think of what you're getting next as more of a contract, right? A plan for how this is gonna sort of play out. Your first question about questions, I wanna respond to that, because I think it's an important one. The way we are handling that is questions are sort of being fed to the Benson side. We're drafting responses that we think are publicly appropriate. If they are on sort of like strictly factual matters, we are sort of passing them along and they will be posted and they will be answered publicly on the LaBerge site, okay? If they involve any sort of discussion or we feel there needs to be elected input, we will make sure that those questions get appropriate input prior.
Go to the website.
We'll get appropriate input prior to being posted. If they're strictly political points, they're probably not the kind of thing that's gonna get a response. But if it's anything that needs to sort of better public knowledge or public information, we'll do our best to provide thoughtful and clear response.
Where is the best place for the public to go?
Yeah, Rich is bringing us.
He's showing you right now.
Scott, can I elaborate on?
Yeah, please do.
Too? So I think the word that you use that's super helpful is that the consolidation agreement is a contract. So that's what the community is voting on. So that is the significant difference between a dissolution vote and a consolidation vote.
Mm-hmm.
So if the village were holding their own dissolution vote, it's based, even if you come up with a study, even if you come up with a plan, it's nothing more than a suggestion. It's a suggestion to the town, please do this. But at the end of the day, the town could do something different.
Or they could drop it in the trash can.
Right. Well, they can't drop it in the trash can. Or they can drop the plan in the trash
Yes.
can, but they would still be required to absorb the village.
Yes,
The
that's true.
village
That's what I meant.
voted
Yes.
Right.
and dissolved. So the difference is that this contract comes up with a roadmap that the town and the village have to follow after the voters from the TOV and the village vote on it.
So to go back, if you could just page down, Rich, thank you very much. There's a questions and answer, I think, sorry, not page down. Can you go to that tab, questions and
Sort
answer?
of upper right.
It says English. So sort of what, just to say what Scott said differently, we have FAQs. If you keep going down, there's a section for questions that came from the community. So you see, we got that question, it's there. Sometimes it'll just be answered right there. If it makes sense to also turn it into a FAQ, we'll put it in an FAQ. If it's a big thing, we'll even entertain making it a one-pager. We've tried really hard to like not leave anything out, but you know, just like Alex found a little thing, we want y'all to find the things we missed. You can submit your question right here. So same place you submit it, it can also, you'll hopefully see it show up later. You can also sign up on the website so that every Friday you get updates to anything that's been added to the website. So I think that answers your question about where should people.
I immediately went to the wrong place. I went to the town website, which has our own little town village consolidation document.
Right,
So.
We're gonna try to mirror the document.
Those are the same one page.
right, they're gonna have documents,
The
right? Does that have on the top?
So the right place
Consolidation.com.
is the right place.
Consolidation.com.
Or what info?
Okay, however, it's worth noting that we are gonna mirror the documents on the town and the village website. So anybody who ends up at the town website or the village website will find the same roughly the same documents. This is a more involved website, so it allows us to be a little bit more, but in terms of one pagers, we're gonna post on both.
Okay.
Right, and we should have on the top this website link, so people, if they do what you do, it'll be right at the top,
Okay.
right?
Should be on the town and village, right?
Yeah. looking at you.
And since I just realized that on the Zoom, since we have this up on the screen here, but we're not the Zoom controllers, we're not sharing on it. Just so Ariana knows, I'm like doing screenshots and putting it in my shared notes doc.
Okay,
at the same
great,
time,
thank you.
Yeah.
Was there a
I just had a quick question. I was asking,
in that time period between the debate and discussion between the town and the village,
Yeah.
are all of the FAQs being updated as the agreement systematically changes? Or are we just doing a set of FAQs that remain the same throughout that whole process?
We can certainly change them as time goes on. If you make decisions that go in a different direction or tweaks or whatever, it doesn't need to stay static. It can, you know, if changes need to be made, it'll be made.
Any other questions on that, on schedule? No, great.
Well, so
Yeah.
by May, sorry,
It's okay.
so by May, you think you're gonna have a draft, early May, ready for our joint meeting?
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Okay, great.
We're so close.
So good.
So close.
We're so close.
And just one more thing on the timeline that I wanted to stress that seems to be resonating with a lot of my peer group. So I figured I'd share it at this joint meeting is, you know, right now through August 5th is all the legwork, all the technical work to get something together to actually go and vote on, right? From August 6th through election day, that's when we do like the real public engagement part, right? You know, and really like hash out like what every single question that's in the thing that we're actually working on right now. So if anyone, because I had a few friends who were like, oh, the timeline, why is it suddenly like blank after that? It's because that's the work that happens at that point, you know? This is just like the timeline we have to stick to get to that point.
Like the required lead time dictated by the Ulster County Board of Elections.
Yeah.
Yes.
State action, but yeah.
Yeah.
Just to say something maybe a little differently than you did, Alex, but agreeing also. It's important to note after August 5th, what we're doing is promoting a document that's no longer subject to change.
That's correct.
So the idea of community input all has to take place, you know, before the 29th, when we agree that that's the document we're moving to the public. And then from August 5th on, it might be a campaign for the plan, but it's no longer something that involves change or input or change.
That's right. It could be-
Right, I think he's reacting to your use of the word hash.
Right.
The hashing will.
The hash
come
is
before.
done.
Yeah.
I think that was, I
Yes,
think you knew it, yes.
right. And it could be a
Thank you.
campaign, for the record, it could be a campaign for or a campaign against.
Okay, for the record, these people will not be campaigning for anything,
Yeah, that's right.
except if they're running for office.
That's right. But the point is, there's plenty of public information here to be shared after this point.
Lowercase c campaign.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's what it is. Yeah,
Information.
information.
You get in trouble. that's all.
Yes, that's right, that's right. Anything else on the schedule? The other thing that we really wanted to address today is the preamble, which was shared with you prior in your meeting packets.
Yep.
Yep. Do you wanna
Yeah,
introduce
sure.
it?
So we thought it would be a good idea, because this we could give to you now, is the preamble. Actually, first, let me just say, just to add a little bit more to what the agreement is and what we're doing. Like, a lot of what we're doing now is figuring out what is appropriate to be in the agreement and not appropriate because of a variety of reasons. So, to tie that to the preamble, I know for me, when I was elected, I always used the preamble as a touchstone in a law. When I would be reading the details, getting really into the weeds of a law, I would go back to the preamble and be like, well, what are the values here? What are we trying to accomplish here? So I think it's really helpful exercise to hash out your preamble, because your preamble is establishing those values, it's establishing those goals. It's not concrete action items, it's conceptual framework of why are you doing this? Words like efficiency, accountability, transparency, equity, representation, right? So I think you can find all of those words in one way, shape, or form in the preamble that we came together and wrote as a team. So what we'd like for you, you don't have to give us feedback tonight. This is something that is gonna be the first thing. It's the lead on the contract/agreement that we're talking about here. So did we cover all the issues? Did we articulate it in a way that yes, that's what you want this consolidation to do. Thank you for the setup, Paul Brown, did he leave? There is reference to, without employee reduction, right? Is that language strong enough for you? Is that what you want? Is it what you don't want? So while I know that's what everyone wants, but, I'm saying about everything in general, this is how you should sort of pick apart the preamble, right? Is it conceptually creating a framework for an agreement that will have a lot more details about how to accomplish what you say you were setting out to do in the preamble. So we know that you just got this. If you have questions now, great, but also know, just like the draft agreement, that this is a working draft, right? You can change this. So big items missed out, little edits, everything in between. That's something we could work on in the interim while we're waiting for the document that you can use this as, like I said, I like the word touchstone.
Where does the preamble fit in our schedule? When does the preamble get adopted?
It's literally the lead to the consolidation agreement.
So you want this by early May?
I mean, this is all a work in progress until you vote on the draft to send to the public on June 1st, so.
Okay.
It's like the rest of the agreement, you're just getting the first couple pages.
Okay.
Right. This is what we could give you today, so we gave it to you.
Yeah.
I get it, okay.
And it was linked in the agenda too, so if people wanted to go back to, the village and town websites, find tonight's agenda, you can read through it again later tonight. Or not, yeah.
Yeah. So if you haven't looked at it, I just want to maybe emphasize a few things that the group really put into this, including your sort of steering committee members from both boards. It acknowledges this has been going on for decades. It's not a new thing. It talks about attachment to place and that people in the village have an attachment to the village, and people in the town or town outside village have attachment to those, and everybody's got an attachment to everything. And I think that's an important part of this. It talks about the establishment of clear accountability for local government services. It emphasizes shared sort of planning efforts across village and town. Community-wide approach to things like economic development and infrastructure planning. And it really commits to uninterrupted service delivery. Sort of tied also to employee retention, which has been a consistent theme that everybody here, that we hear, the steering committee hears, that the mayor and supervisor here, and Will Hirsch hears. So if there's anything that, as KT said, just communicate that to us now, later, anytime. Great.
So it's great, we didn't miss anything.
Great, it's perfect. Yeah.
Is it the case for us to discuss this now?
Yeah. Seriously, we're so curious. We're like, please.
So I read this,
Talk
and
to
now when you refer to the idea of the intention not to reduce any positions,
Mhm.
I'm reading it again and I'm not finding it.
It's, I found it as soon as Paul said it when he was talking.
This one.
Third whereas up from the bottom.
So, or employee reduction, that's what that means, but.
I mean, that's the language that's there, if you want different language,
We could give it its own whereas if you wanted.
yeah.
I think we can discuss this. I think we can, I don't think we should have any reduction in staff at all. I think we should just become more efficient and do more. I don't think the streets need to be plowed in the town, the streets need to be plowed in the village. If one organization is doing both, we're not gonna be able to reduce our staff at all. The truck still has to be driven. I think we know that the only jobs that are being eliminated are our jobs.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
100%
think that, which is the weirdest thing for a politician to say, because they never do that. But what we have is this, I think, and I mean, we could even vote. I mean, I would be okay with making a referendum or voting on this and being like, hey, let's put that out there. Like, no one will lose their job,
It's gonna be in the agreement.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but it's.
It's in there already.
I think everyone, I mean, does anyone disagree with me?
I wanna add the jobs.
Yeah, okay. You disagree with me, okay.
You know what? I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, so,
I'll let you.
so I think,
It's my point actually, but that's okay, let's.
I think we have, I think we have a situation here where, like, if you know what's getting done, you can't get rid of people, like, the people are busy. There's not like people sitting around doing nothing, so they're, you know, the work is still about the same. The only thing that the savings would be in other areas. It wouldn't be in people though.
It's not my meeting, but.
Yeah. So I agree with you, and I think the point I was going to make is that it's 2 words in a 2-page agreement. It doesn't make it entirely clear that when you said, Katie, I thought was really important, that if this agreement is supposed to hold up the values and the intent behind this consolidation and try to really emphasize the things that are most important to us, I think this point could be made a lot more clear.
Okay, I just want to clarify, there's a lot in the agreement on this topic. It's not
Right.
that this is the only mention of it. I kind of,
The preamble has.
Right, right.
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 Lots of.
I think we can give it its own, I think.
Right,
that's
no,
all.
we already wrote it down, it's getting its own whereas.
It's getting its own word.
So, but I just want to be clear that I heard this right, because I didn't want anyone to think that we're just gonna say it once and this is the only place.
Great.
There's more specifics on this in the
Great.
larger document,
Awesome,
right? Am I right?
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
that's why we're having meetings.
And then, the other question I had was, it would seem like part of the point Sean just mentioned is, it seemed like the idea of addressing the questions of, the respective boards and the respective volunteer boards and all the entities that will now exist, there'll be fewer of, and maybe one of each or whatever. Is that something that would be more appropriate to be addressed in the agreement, or do you feel like that's something up front that could be mentioned in the whereas? It feels like when people think of government and consolidation, they think of all these things that we have and do, and that doesn't seem to be explicit in the preamble.
Yeah, I feel like it's implied with all the language surrounding continuity, but maybe we could elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's something that your elected representatives on the steering committee have been talking a lot about, is precisely what the wording is around how these boards continue. And all the conversation seems to have been really around the idea of making sure everybody has sort of fair representation and voice, and transition planning, which is also a sort of complicated factor here. And there will be language in the agreement about that. I'm happy to work with KT, anybody, to make sure that that's emphasized here in the way we think is helpful. Yeah.
And there is stuff in the agreement, as Scott said, we actually discussed this a little bit this week in our meeting, you know, landlord tenant, housing board. People will stay in their seats for their terms, nothing's getting disrupted, there'll be continuity. So I'm hearing continuity is the issue, and I mean, it's related to when we speak about representation, right? But we can certainly hum a few more bars. Because now as I'm talking out loud, there's also a thing that like a lot of people will only read the first 2 pages.
Right.
So things that pop for you all, then you know, maybe we don't even need to overthink it and we just put it in there to make sure
Yeah.
that our short readers read it.
If everybody
We're
feels-
teachers, so we know about this.
I mean, if everybody feels good about it, there's really no harm in it,
Yeah,
whereas.
yeah. Yeah, and just so you know, it's been very much Sean, like, and everyone, that there would be no employee reduction, and how do we create a new org chart, and how do we create continuity and job titles and civil service this and union that, like all of the rocks are getting overturned and looked under, is that the phrase?
Yeah, it works.
So KT, that was my question, the union and civil service rocks. You'll have that all ironed out so that the employees of both municipalities will say, our benefits will stay intact, all of our longevity. That's gonna be somewhere in the agreement that whatever their current benefits are, if, for example, village employees become town employees, somehow whatever their union situation is right now will be matched by the
Kitty, I can
town.
answer that. So
That-
the way we're creating the financial model is to assume that whatever is like good in the village contract and whatever is good in the town contract gets applied across the board. But at the end of the day, the unions negotiate their own contracts. So we're creating an assumption based on, of course, you're gonna try, like, if I'm town and Kate's Village, you know, we're gonna try to end up with what each of us benefit from. So that's going to be baked in to the financial impact statement and how it impacts people from a tax
Okay.
perspective.
I mean, I love that concept, and I'm just assuming that you'll run this past the union heads. And they
Have
say,
to.
you know, that works, we can make that work.
You're negotiating with the bargaining unit, we can't pass a law that undoes a bargaining unit's
Right.
rights. So we could sit here and make any law we want, and the union would laugh so hysterically at us and get sued and they get paid, so.
I don't believe that's what I'm asking. What I'm asking is that our union reps look at what they have now and what the new hierarchy would look like and say, yes, our benefits can be carried over, you know, under, I mean, you can't, can the union that is representing village employees right now continue to represent them if they become town?
It's up to the union members.
Yeah.
It's up to
So
the union.
it would be up to the union members and like a regular union process, like how a union even gets started. I like the village union rep from CSEA told me he sees no pathway to getting CSEA to be the bargaining unit in a new town post consolidation. But I don't know, like this, it's never happened before. There's never been this kind of thing before. So who knows, you know? But it would be, yeah, up to the unions and whatnot to decide. But the bargaining unit that represents the government that would no longer exist, that bargaining unit wouldn't exist, which is really interesting.
But then the members get to decide what they want to do.
The town doesn't control the unions. If the town controlled the unions would be pointless, so the members of the union decide who
Maybe other
their
people
people
need
are.
that lecture, but I don't, what I wanna make sure that I do understand is that the members people who are currently members of the village union will have a bargaining unit of their own
If they want to.
if they want to.
Well, in the new Paltz, they would have the same option, they would have an option to join that union, you know, it wouldn't be like bringing over any sort of bargaining unit from now. So like their bargaining unit would not exist. CSEA, would not, unless they wanted to, like, they have like no rating agreements and all that stuff. They wouldn't be in the picture anymore, really.
I'm sorry, I found that a little confusing too.
Yeah.
Okay, so the unions are controlled by the people who are members in the union. So if we wanted to form a union of amazing political boards, okay, so that would be us. So then we decide that you're in charge, you're our president, and you go and we say, Lauren, you're in charge, and she finds a union that would represent us, that would be the CEA. Now, let's say that we get that union, and then 2 days later, we find out Lauren's embezzled all our money. And so we say, we're gonna fire her and we're gonna hire someone else to be the president, and then we get a brand new union, and the people who are in the union control it. So we don't, the town doesn't control the union controls itself, and the union is controlled by its board, by the people in it, and they can kick them out if they want to.
Well, let me just ask one question. So
Yeah.
you have a town union.
Yeah.
For village employee, for town employees.
Yeah.
You have a village, union for village employees.
Yes.
When the consolidation happens, does the village employee union disappear and then they have to then recreate?
But they could,
Can they then recreate a separate union
from the town unions, or do they have to vote to join or be part of that one union?
They can't create a new union because they have job titles. You can't have like, all the people who do the same job in two different unions.
So then their only option is to join the.
But then the members can decide what they want to do moving forward.
Got it, okay.
So they could all get in there and be like, we don't like this union with the other one. And that's how it usually works. Most of the unions are in both. So there's a lot of unions that are in the town and the village. And it goes back and forth. It's not like the town has one and the village has other.
I understand.
It's by bargaining unit.
So does the village have a union for your administrative staff?
Just one.
The village just has one union that, it's mostly Department of Public Works and one person in the clerk treasurer's office, like, so it's not everyone across the board, but it is mostly the Public Works team. Yeah, and one clerk treasurer staff person,
And parking enforcement.
and parking enforcement, of course. I can't forget parking enforcement. Yeah, and so it's one union, it's CSEA. They're one bargaining unit. So the choice that would exist for those employees post consolidation would be to sign, whatever union card with the new government that exists, which would not be with our current union in the village. It would be what exists with you guys. But of course, there are always options, like Sean was saying, and organizing, down the road and whatnot, depending on what all the folks who want to be in a union in that new government want to get together and do. Like, those options exist anyway, right? We don't really weigh in on that stuff because that's up to the people, yeah. So yeah, CSEA would lose this bargaining unit.
Okay, I'm so used to the town side of things. We have a police union, we have the highway, we have our office administration. And we have our planning board. So, the village has a planning director, the town has a planning director. Sort of duplicative titles, I guess.
But they're supervisors, they're not, neither one of them are in unions.
You're right, but
But like the secretary of planning and zoning
yeah,
is in the union.
yeah.
And
Employees who are not supervisors can go into the union at any time.
Yeah, so I guess the question is for village employees to look at the town unions and say, does that work for us or what's that?
yeah, and I would say that that's a challenge that I don't have any answer to. This is Ulster County. CSEA is like a big union, it's the union that the county, many of the county, like the DMV workers, are in and whatnot. It's CSEA is the billboard you see when you go out to a lobby day in Albany. It's the first thing that greets you before going to get your lobby packets and all that. And they feel very strongly, of their identity with that union. So I did go ahead and see what would be the case. Are there any anti-rating agreements and all that stuff? Because I had worked for years to try to unionize the New York State legislature. So was really interested in that. And it's just interesting how, it doesn't look like they're plotting any raids or, deals with the town's union reps at this time to have CSA take over, but who knows?
Oh gosh, I wasn't even thinking of that. I'm just trying to find the smoothest fit for, when these two things come together. How the village employees, where is the place they want to land?
That's a practical question. Just in terms of agreements, whether it's a labor agreement or all the other agreements that exist between municipalities and people that provide services and things, will the surviving entity be one or the other of the current entities, or will it be a new third entity that is the surviving entity under a consolidated government?
Do you mean it depends, I think it depends is probably the answer. Do you mean I mean, the town is not a new town after consolidation.
Right.
The town is the old town after consolidation.
Got it.
Does
But a
that
good
make sense?
example is like landlord-tenant relations. There's no landlord-tenant relations in the town. So we actually discussed this on our steering committee, meeting this morning. So like the commissions that exist in the village, they just get moved over and they become town commissions.
But I was thinking more about what you're answering, I believe, Scott, which is that the resultant, municipalities and entities of some sort.
The
the
surviving
entity is the
municipality
town.
is the
So the
current town.
agreements that exist with the town and vendors, whoever those might be, the people who sell us salt.
Yeah.
Those agreements all remain in place.
Yeah.
And there is a transition period. The village
That's all.
doesn't immediately disappear.
Right.
For contracts that may be in place there, right?
But
Because
the
that
surviving
is gonna
entity
go
is the
away,
existing entity, it's
but
not-
there is a certain amount of time that a lot of activity
Right.
like that needs to occur because at a certain point, the village goes away.
Right. It's not as if they're making a baby, right? You know what I mean? Like, it is just the town in the end, but this agreement rather than dissolution allows the village to sort of negotiate on its own behalf for what that looks like down the line. Which is, an important
Yeah, and
aspect.
primary reason I'm asking this is probably contains costs to a great degree, and when you have, debt and bond issues and things like that, I would imagine transferring all those to a third entity would be more complicated and more expensive than the surviving.
That's right. Village, anything that's owned by the village becomes property of the town.
And PSM, by the way, will have all sorts of tables on, debt.
Yeah, they have it down to like the computer.
Yeah, so. May not, I think we said this before, but just to reiterate, there will be this consolidation agreement, but then there will be appendices and other information. That isn't appropriate to be in it, but we all need to see to understand the entirety.
Can I, give a point of feedback on the preamble?
Sure.
Yeah.
So mirroring sort of the approach that Rich took, in the fifth provision from the bottom, the fifth whereas a unified government would consolidate the budgetary process, et cetera. So I've heard a lot of questions, about the tax impact. And this is a provision that addresses that, and I would just think that it would flow more clearly and highlight the importance of that topic to the people of New Paltz if it was broken out into two different whereases, because
Sure.
there's sort of a lot of content.
It's a little too much.
Multiple sub clauses, it could even be three.
No problem.
Great.
Yeah,
That's a good setup.
yeah, the last thing actually on my list was to make sure.
No.
Oh, okay. So we know there's a lot of. In my family, we'd say sort of spilkus, about the financial aspect here and the tax impact stuff. So that is very much forthcoming. But the main feedback, the main sort of big takeaways of the dissolution plan, I want to say remain in place, which is that the CETC, which is actually outlined in one of the one pagers, the town of New Paltz will become eligible for that. We would expect a full $1 million annually for that. The state requires that 70% of that go to tax reduction. As much as 100% can technically go to tax reduction, but as you'll see, the financial models will sort of work out different sort of possibilities there. But that's gonna be a big part of this story publicly. But we're gonna try to make that stuff as clear and accessible outside of the draft agreement as we can. So that's what's coming. Yeah. Depends who you are, I suppose, but to me, that sounds fair. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anything else that we can help with tonight? I know you guys have.
Oh, sorry, it's hard to focus when lots of talking's going on, but yeah. Any questions you all have, that now would be a good time to ask them, because we've got these experts in the room.
I just wanted to kind of explain why you guys are here. I think we're like super lucky and this is unique in that because we're New Paltz, we have a state university here. We have the Benjamin Center, which is part of the state university. So we've hired the LaBerge Group to help us navigate Article 17A, follow state law to make sure all the legal i's are dotted. And what the Benjamin Center does is they can be hired by, for instance, a municipality or a nonprofit, and they can get paid to do, this type of engagement work or this communications work. So I think what's really unique about what's going on here is that the Benjamin Center is very interested in this topic because both KT and Scott, find this topic to be super interesting. And one of the mandates that SUNY has statewide and the university has in New Paltz is that they're supposed to do like community projects. So my understanding is that we're incredibly lucky that you believe that this is a worthwhile project to help our community understand. So you're not advocating for or against, you're basically a translator who sits in the steering committee meetings and you get to hear what the consultant is talking about from a technical perspective, what the electeds are talking about from, as we're trying to wrap our heads around it, what the attorneys are saying in terms of asking tough questions. And you're like, well, how do we, boil what's being discussed into one pagers and then show that to the community. So your community hopefully will, feel more informed when they get to, early vote or vote by mail or vote on November 3rd. I have, umpteen one pagers that helped me understand what is being considered. So, I've been, so grateful, so far based on like all the interpretation.
We'll disappoint eventually.
What's that?
So we'll disappoint eventually.
Yeah. So far I don't see it, but I just feel like we're in such a unique situation because we have a state university here and we have this entity within this, the university that does this type of work. And,
yeah, well, we're thrilled to be able to do it. And before you accuse me of being totally overboard on one pagers, I want to note that we will extend them if we absolutely need to. And we'll try to come up with a healthy.
Switch the font down a little.
Yeah, well,
You don't even know.
You don't even, just go right to 8.
Yeah.
Font, remove the borders. You can
Yeah,
get 4
well, it has been a very healthy exercise to say, how do we get this on one page for everybody? But I do think that we will come out with other documents that, if needed, will be helpful for you. And I hope really for you to distribute, or point people to, you don't need to walk around handing them out, but like say, when people are confused, be able to say, here's a resource. And it pretty much explains it. And if you have questions, there's people there to answer your questions. All right?
And then
And I
in
have
the
a-
spirit of gratitude, I'm sorry, I would say I'm also grateful for the mayor and Lauren's leadership of the committee and the rest of the people that are working hard on Wednesday mornings. Because I know that there's massive amount of work getting moved through and decided on in there. And so thanks to that group.
Got it.
All right.
I was just gonna say, I have a volunteer who might be willing to do TikToks on what's in all the one pagers.
Ooh.
In exchange for signing off on some community service hours he has to do.
Nice.
So, I'm working on them for us.
Good.
That's good.
Will there be a good dance?
I hope so.
Perfect.
I don't know, these 12th graders like are rock stars, so we'll see what we come up with.
Okay. We're good?
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Lauren.
you so much.
Yeah.
All right, good to move on to the procurement policies item.
So we unsharing or is there anything else I need to do here?
Yeah, but we can move that away from you, or maybe pull the Zoom button that's on the bottom. That'll pull that back up. May as well. Cool, thank you. So next, we had our joint, updated procurement policies on the agenda. I was gonna motion now that I realized that like it was exactly the same thing that we had already passed on the village side to adopt the updated version of the village procurement policy that's in alignment with the town one.
You were.
We can have a second and then discussion, I guess.
Second.
Cool.
That I think it's
Anything?
really a process of aligning it, things that business making one and the other.
Yeah.
I've once had it for a couple of months now. I've had a little bit of feedback from the smart.
Climate smart task force, yeah.
Where we went through and we actually tightened up a little bit, so that's the latest one I think you have. And I think almost everyone I spoke to, and I did speak to many people, was happy with the structure. So if everyone's seen it and is happy, I think it's a matter of just adopting it and then starting to use it. And it's a document we can evolve and change over time as well. There's no rule about sticking to it once we voted for it. So if we find it doesn't work, we can always adopt.
Yeah, thank you for that. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the town is voting on this, right?
Sure.
Okay, so do you wanna make a motion to?
I move that we adopt the updated procurement policy.
Second.
All in favor?
Awesome, sweet. Our climate smart folks will be excited about that. I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution calling for a moratorium on data centers in New York State. And then if we get a second, we can open up for, a little explanation. Awesome. Kitty, did you have anything you wanted to say on this? Or Tim, because you both were at that event yesterday.
You know, we're getting, basically, I'll start at the beginning and then go to the end, because it's not that long, but whereas the Seneca Nation, in conjunction with the Sierra Club, filed an Article 78 petition to seek a stay and temporary restraining order to prevent the Stamp Data Center, and I've given you all information about the Stamp Center, from being built about 0.8 of a mile from the Tonawanda Seneca Nation's 7,500 acre reservation. Whereas the NAACP's 2026 recommendations for protecting frontline communities to stop dirty data is raising alarms about the disproportionate impact of data centers, which are often located in low-income neighborhoods and communities of color. Whereas collectively, data centers are among the top 10 water-consuming industries in the US, whereas about 1/5 of these data centers use water from stressed watersheds, whereas New York experienced a 43% increase in electricity residential rates between 2020 and 2025, and the construction of new data centers would exacerbate this trend, whereas data centers produce few permanent jobs. Whereas State Senator Kristen Gonzalez, chair of the Senate Internet Technology Committee, whose district includes an area of Queens known as Asthma Alley, is a sponsor of Senate Bill S9144, whereas these bills require the state to conduct a thorough analysis of the potential negative impacts of data centers on New York's economic health. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the town and village of New Paltz, urge the legislature to pass and Governor Kathy Hochul to sign into law Senate Bill 9144, Assembly Bill 10141, establishing a temporary moratorium on data centers in New York.
Awesome. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sweet.
Rock and roll.
Right.
So we removed that next item. Folks can go and look at the agenda to learn more about it or give me a call. Fire protection contract, I motion for the village board to approve the joint village town 2026-2027 fire contract. We have to do two different motions, right? Yeah, cool.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move the fire contract for the town.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I add something to the joint agenda?
Go for it.
So at our last town board meeting, we were talking about the idea of working with our rec department to come up with like a comprehensive list of our various recreation assets owned by the government, you know, the dreams, et cetera, but it seems like there's probably a valuable opportunity to look broadly, both town and village. So that's a thing that we can, work on, and I like the idea of our town recreation department kind of like spearheading that, and then it'll help us, figure out where we want to make investments moving forward. But I wanted to carve out a special Moriello Pool Committee. There's a lot of questions about, improvements that are needed there and, near-term, very significant expenses. And I want to carve it out as its own committee because it's probably, the most, valuable and expensive recreation asset that we have. And what I was going to propose is that we could have like 2 village board members, 2 town board members, a couple of community members, and then Chris Marks and Bill Russell to, identify, which projects are staring us in the face, and then, coming up with a long-term plan, as opposed to, again, just like doing things one-off, doing things, not with like a multi-year plan in it. So.
Let's do it, yeah.
Makes complete sense.
Anyone,
Stevie wants it.
so Sean and Kate want to be the town board committee members. Stevie definitely wants to be on the pool committee. You guys want to pick another one?
I don't wanna leave Jasmine out, but yeah,
We
would
should
you
always
always
nominate the person who's not here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
okay, no, I think Jazz would actually love to do this.
I think she would.
She's a stomach bug, so yeah, we're not even gonna bother her. So yeah,
And then maybe we can jointly, ask the community if there's a couple of individuals who would like to serve, because I think having a couple of community members would augment the election.
Someone from the sports teams would be good to have, someone from the swim team, someone from the soccer, and someone from the baseball. And,
Well, just.
Well, this is just.
oh, just Memorial.
This is just.
Yeah, I'm thinking ahead, sorry, but, yeah. But yeah.
But in addition to Chris Marks from the highway, because he deals a lot in terms of, pool decisions, and Bill Russell, it'd be also great to have a village DPW person participate. And the other reason that I'm carving this out too is the way it has worked historically was that the town and the village split capital projects at the pool 50-50, and then the town's aid fund pays for pool operations. So this is a little bit different than the way any of the other recreation assets are handled. So maybe you guys can talk with someone at definitely Jasmine, but also village DPW staff.
And I just added it to my list of things I'm talking with Lou about tomorrow.
Smart.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you for that. So.
While we're still talking about the pool, did we send out a press release? How are we letting the community know? Thank you all very much for passing the SNAP benefit policy for the pool. How are we letting the public know about that? And if we're not, let's do a press release. Okay.
I guess, we'll turn it to the phone graphic committee over here, as well.
Maybe the news media.
Oh, yeah.
If only we had some newspaper.
So yeah, let's share it out in all the ways, and definitely get a flyer up in our info hub here in Village Hall.
Right, and we should use the town Facebook page more, just alert people. You're a town resident receiving SNAP benefits, contact the recreation director.
Love it.
And village Facebook as well. I mean, is your website working right now?
Our website is working, so yeah, agreed, definitely. It'll be easier for us to share like flyers and press releases once our email's back up and running soon, hopefully, but yeah, we'll definitely share this all out in all the ways.
Great.
So with that, let's wrap up the joint part of the agenda, and then I guess town's next, and then village, we gotta stick around.
Do you want me to jump right into town business? Do you guys want to get up or do you want to sit here while we?
I'm just gonna sit right
Okay, so
here.
I move that we authorize approval of the April 26th warrant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorize that we approve reimbursing Jim Chinger from the youth program, $92.92.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move that we authorize paying law firm Gordon and Stevens $2,130. This is for their help regarding the consolidation planning that we've been discussing. So this would be paid for out of capital H07.
Second.
All in favor?
This is about consolidation or about this new municipal building?
It's about consolidation,
Okay,
because we don't have any municipal building stuff to work on right
okay,
now.
so it's coming, isn't it coming out of the municipal building fund?
Yeah,
So
that's what the comptroller suggested we do.
okay, I'm not sure that we can, I mean, if the controller says that's okay, but generally that's a dedicated fund and it can't, I don't know. If you and Jean have approved it, I guess that's a.
We can double check. We'll make sure that.
It feels
oh,
like
sure.
it should come out of, I don't know if we have consolidation fund somewhere, or maybe just our regular A fund, but I
Do
thought.
you guys want to hold off? We'll hold off on approving this and we'll just make sure that the language is more clear at the.
I just want to make sure, I don't.
No, I agree with you, Kitty. Let's just make, yeah, just make sure it's tight and then we have better language. So we'll just put it on the next, individual town board meeting.
Okay.
I move that we request authorization to increase the 2026 adopted budget for unanticipated revenue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And, I move that we authorize to forward approved cost of $320,250 for the $1 million farm closing to, the law firm, where Joe Moriello is our representative. So this way he can pay bills. It's basically just this was a request by the comptroller. Move the money, into that escrow account. Someone want to second it?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then I move that we approve, a secret resolution, saying that the, Ohioville wastewater treatment plant upgrade is a type 2 action under seeker.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to adjourn the town board.
Second.
All right, oh, sorry. I just started jumping in. I'm like, all right, and we're back.
I have a question. There's executive session is on the agenda. Is it a joint executive session or should we? go-
No, we should, yeah, let's do that. Let's, you're moving that we go into executive session for personnel.
Discussing the personnel.
Yeah. Can we go in there or do we?
I had unlocked it, so hopefully it still is unlocked.
Wait, Tim, did you guys adjourn your portion of the meeting and then go into executive session?
Yeah.
No, we didn't. You heard wrong.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so while they're going into executive session, we're going to launch our village, oh, sorry. Yeah, just go in the garage. Sorry about that. We had a staff person working late and they just made sure everything was locked and I appreciate that. So yeah, let's get into our village portion of the agenda. I want to make a motion to actually add an item to the agenda to set a public hearing to be held for a possible community block grant application and to approve our business agenda as amended.
Second.
Yeah, and it's May 20th, an existing meeting. It's a meeting date.
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cool. So now that's our first item. So I motion to set that public hearing to be held May 20th, 2026 at the usual meeting time for a possible community block grant application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. I motion I guess we don't have to make a motion. We want to share out the New Paltz Fire Department election results. So on April 7th, the members of the New Paltz Fire Department held their annual elections and the results are as follows. fire line officers, Chief Patrick Coach, First Assistant Chief Mike DeFaldo, Second Assistant Chief Tony Yenzer, Captain Steve Greenfield, First Lieutenant John Pastor, Second Lieutenant our County Legislator Bill Murray, company officers below are the folks I'm listing below. President Sean Herberger, Vice President Joe Miller, Treasurer Eric Watson, Trustee Eric Saunders, Trustee Rick Raffa, Trustee Robert Lucchese, Trustee Bill Du Bois. And just want to say big congrats to all the officers and for everyone involved in New Paltz Fire.
Yes.
I'm so excited to be going to the installment dinner in May, and Stana Weisberg, who's in the audience, and I are trying to join up and reinvigorate the ladies auxiliary. So stay tuned for more on that.
Great.
Cool. So yeah, definitely trying to give them their flowers as much as possible. So the next item, I didn't get a chance to type something up for you all. So I'll just kind of share an update here and then have a bigger update at our village only meeting on the campus cleanup proposal. But this is like a thing that some years it's like a big to do, and then some years it just kind of doesn't happen. And we're so fortunate that last year, a super volunteer on a couple of our boards, like Climate Smart Task Force and Bike Ped, Dylan Moscoso, really took the reins along with Rebecca Rotzler to make sure this was like a community and campus thing, because that's how it's most successful. And so this year it's a lot easier because the campus has a ton more volunteers through their Office of Sustainability. They have so many interns who've been working on this, meeting about it and all that stuff. And on our end, it's just gonna be a matter of picking days to make some space in the garage bay available, coordinating with the folks who are organizing the Really, Really Free Market, coordinating with Family of New Paltz. They've been including me in their staff meetings and stuff, so that's easy. And basically making sure we don't get anything thrown out that could be reused. So stay tuned for just a little bit more details at our next meeting with how that's all going to play out. I just need to talk with our public works squad about clearing out some trucks and kind of taking over that space for the sorting that happens. But the goal is, let's get zero waste and, especially last year, some air conditioners were collected and they were able to be re-gifted right away to families who need air conditioners. So hopefully we can do that again.
Is our garbage hauler involved in that at all? Just because I know one of the other sort of collateral issues there is that garbage cans are full of stuff and stuff is out piled in the front. And so I wonder if they would have a role in supporting it somewhere, because they have an interest in some things too.
That's a really good idea. Let's follow up on it. It'll be a little bit easier with email and whatnot, but definitely, because there are those, and that becomes a frustrating time, like, having worked here at Village Hall in the past. Big ups to our team who answers the phone. And then because even when everyone's not downstairs and it's after hours and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get some quiet work done, the phone rings when there's garbage or anything else awry. So let's see what we can coordinate with county waste and whatnot there too. Yeah. So yeah, I'll take something up with more specifics for our village only meeting and see if we can get some ideas from county waste for that meeting too. Our next item, I actually don't have the materials for massage in the park request. So, which was a little tough. So we're just gonna skip it for now.
I kept reading it as message in the park. I'm like, oh, what's the message in the park? But it's a
Right.
massage in the park.
Right, oh yeah. Did
Alex, I did share it I did pop it in the link into your VB notes doc if you wanted to talk about it. I realized after the fact that you were not included on the email where I received it.
Oh, awesome.
And the
Thank you so
only
much.
reason actually, oftentimes park use things go on the consent agenda because they're things that have just happened year after year, but this is the first time we've had a request like this. So Nicole and I thought the board might want to talk about it. That's like why it's here in this way.
And so yeah, you are right. It is the first, basically, but what they're offering, what I understand is the free 10-minute massages. It's not like they're making any profits, and it's a matter of, people ideally making appointments in advance was my take. But basically the dates requested were from May through October, 3 days a week, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., just having free 10-minute massages available. They estimate 15 to 20 people tops each day. And again, it's not like they're doing this for profit. I can't help but wonder if this is just gonna help like overall health as like a community.
I wonder if it turns into profit after the 10 minutes, though, if that's what the point is, to kind of reel you in and then get you to stay. I wonder.
I mean, you could say the same thing about the pop-up gardens that we're planting, that's one way to get you hooked to growing organic tomatoes that you can pick on your own,
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea, though, and I'll definitely be one of those 15 to 20 people for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna show up with a different wig every 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, could the resolution just say that it's not able to be charged for even for an extended period? I mean, in other words, what you're saying, Steve, is that we wouldn't want them charging for the massages and parts. They want to offer them for free, that's great. We could just say that we would approve it, but it's not allowed to be charged for.
Yeah, as long as it remains free and open to the public,
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. So motion to approve the massage in the park request.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thanks, Ari, for the quick adding to the agenda there. Next, we have our No Mow May Mayor Monarch Pledge. It's our April and May Earth resolution. So I wanted to share, basically, the town of New Paltz has their No Mow May resolution. They passed it at their last meeting. They have No Mow May signs available and all of that. In the village, traditionally, we wind up kind of grappling with it, because not everyone has as much control over what their yards can even do. And we just have so many other issues as a village where No Mow May isn't exactly the right approach. It's not very inclusive. But we want to talk about, use as an excuse to basically say the town's No Mow May idea is great, thank you. And here's some different ways that we can support pollinator friendly habitats. And then I found, thanks to folks on our environmental policy board, that the National Wildlife Federation does the Mayor Monarch Pledge. And so I think I signed on to it, but the confirmation email goes to the mayor email. I'm going to reconfirm that as soon as we're back online. But I signed on to it, thinking we should, use that as an example. And so that's basically what this is, first, whereas is the town celebrates No Mow May every year in order to expand pollinator friendly habitats of public-private land, encouraging the community to adopt sustainable pollinator friendly land management practices. And whereas our community is in a unique position to significantly increase pollinator friendly habitats by encouraging pollinator friendly lawn care practices and by asking its citizens to take direct and meaningful action on their own properties. And whereas the ideal pollinator friendly habitat is comprised mostly of native wildflowers, grasses, vines, shrubs, and trees blooming in succession throughout the growing season, is free or nearly free of pesticides, is comprised of undisturbed spaces, including leaf and brush piles, unmown fields or field margins, and provides connectivity between habitat areas to support pollinator movement and resilience. And whereas the formative period for establishment of pollinator and other insect species and the many songbirds and other urban wildlife species which depend upon them occurs in late spring and early summer when they emerge from dormancy and require flowering plants as crucial foraging habitat. And these opportunities are dramatically reduced with early spring leaf litter removal and grass mowing. Whereas, Village of New Paltz Mayor Alex Wojcik, that's me, signed the 2026 National Wildlife Federation's Mayor's Monarch Pledge, committing to take meaningful action to protect the monarch butterfly. And whereas May also marks Lyme Awareness Month, an opportunity to learn about and spread awareness of Lyme disease and other tick-borne diseases. Infected ticks normally live on deer and mice, and the majority of tick bites occur in the summer months when ticks are most active and when more people are enjoying the outdoors. And whereas replacing lawns with native plant gardens can disrupt tick-host interactions and reduce tick-borne disease risk while also restoring biodiversity. And now therefore be it resolved that the Village of New Paltz supports the town's No Mow May recognition and commits to actively promoting and educating the community about the critical period of pollinator emergence, generation of crucial pollinators supporting habitat, and early spring foraging opportunities. Be it further resolved, the village hereby urges all residents to do their part by planting native milkweed and nectar plants to provide habitat for monarchs and other pollinators. Be it further resolved, the village commends Senator Hinchey for leading the way in New York State, in the New York State Legislature, in calling for awareness of Lyme disease and preventing tick-borne diseases. That's her Lyme disease awareness proclamation that they just passed. And this is the final one. Be it further resolved that the Village of New Paltz commits to the following to encourage all residents to learn about and celebrate monarch conservation while supporting all pollinators with a healthy dose of awareness of ticks and tick-borne diseases, especially Lyme. And that list is education outreach to residents, native seed giveaways, which we're doing this Saturday at Earth Day, planting native milkweed and pollinator-friendly species on village properties, which we did last Friday with the Girl Scouts, and turning as many vacant spaces into native pollinator gardens as possible, which we are doing every other Friday with the Girl Scouts. So I move this resolution.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, and thanks for bearing with me on that. I just want to give some of that history as to why we don't just like copy paste the town's one. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so I motion to adopt our resolution for bills and claims.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. Any reports from planning board?
I don't have any because I haven't gotten an email in a couple of weeks, so I'm behind on what's happening there.
We were at the meeting last night. Yeah.
The last night meeting, yeah.
To be continued.
There.
Yeah, I on the historic Huguenot Street project, I'm meeting with a ton of folks this week to hear all about it, and it was really cool listening to everyone last night too. So that's it. Any ZBA?
We didn't meet this one.
Great, all right. And then I just wanted to apologize for not being able to really link our new report in this month. But we're all working on it. Cool. Anything else village only?
I just wanted to say one thing. So I'm new to this, so I'm not sure when the appropriate time is to say this. Wanted to say that I really appreciate what the gentleman said about the firearms and not distributing more firearms, and also the heartfelt and very important statements about the possible race bias in the police department and how that should be addressed. I don't know anything about it. I don't know how to address it, but it's an important topic. And then I just think that I wanted to also just say that one of the passionate people mentioned something, hyperbolic figure of speech, but it shouldn't have been said, and it's just not appropriate in a public discourse. I just want to note that.
Thank you.
I'm sure it was accidental and just, part of an emotional outburst, but still it's not appropriate.
Yeah, and thank you so much for pointing that out too, because tonight was the first time I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I had to say, like, set the tone that way, like, let's just not say anything about violence against others, you know?
Right.
So
That was
Yeah.
an issue of consciousness.
maybe in the future, we just make that more clear, just to help keep the temperature down.
Yeah, or maybe even just interrupt and just say, hey, let's, I remember during Tim's reelection thing, there was something that was said and the person who should have said something didn't say anything. And there was an opportunity to say something and they didn't say something. And I think it's important to get in there and just say, hey, hold a sec, that's not appropriate.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so, motion to adjourn the village only
Second.
meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna keep this all live for when they get back. And I'm gonna sign some payables. Awesome. Yeah, I'll mute it. All right, and they're back.
Yeah, so Kitty, moves that we leave executive session and Kate's there. And we're taking no action and adjourning.
Have a good night.
Good night.